What would you do if your child's dream toy turned into a nightmare and you were blamed for it? In the heart of Willow Creek's bustling toy store, Karen Miller stormed through the aisles, her voice slicing through the cheerful hum of holiday shoppers. It was a crisp December afternoon, and the store sparkled with festive lights, but Karen's face was a thundercloud. Her 6-year-old son, Timmy, trailed behind, clutching a crumpled flyer advertising the Turbo Rocket Blaster, a toy every kid in town begged for. "It's for my son," she bellowed at a trembling cashier, slamming the flyer on the counter. "You sold me a broken one last week, and I demand a replacement free." The cashier, barely out of high school, stammered an apology, but Karen wasn't having it. She wanted justice, and she wanted it loud. The truth, however, wasn't as simple as Karen's tantrum suggested. A week earlier, she bought the Turbo Rocket Blaster at a steep discount during a clearance sale. The store manager, Sarah, had warned her the sale items were finale returns, no exchanges, as they were discontinued models with minor defects. Karen had scoffed, insisting she could handle any issues for the price. She'd haggled relentlessly, shaving another $10 off an already slashed deal, claiming it was for her kids' happiness. But when Timmy opened the toy, it sputtered, its lights flickered once, and it died. Karen didn't call customer service or check the warranty. She marched back to the store, ready for war, convinced she'd been scammed. Sarah, a seasoned manager with a knack for staying calm, tried to explain the policy again. "Ma'am, the clearance items were sold as is. We offered you the option to test it in-store, but you declined." Karen's eyes narrowed, her voice rising to a pitch that made nearby shoppers flinch. "You're robbing me. You're robbing my son. I'll sue this place into the ground." She grabbed a new Turbo Rocket Blaster from the display, tore open its box, and held it aloft like a trophy. "This one better work, or I'm tearing this store apart." The crowd murmured, some recording on their phones, others whispering about her audacity. But then came the twist. A soft-spoken older man stepped forward from the crowd. Mr. Jenkins, a retired engineer and regular customer, had been quietly browsing nearby. He cleared his throat, holding up an identical Turbo Rocket Blaster box he'd just purchased. "Ma'am," he said, his voice steady but firm, "I saw you last week. You didn't just buy that toy, you dropped it on the floor while arguing about the price. I told you to check it before leaving, but you said you didn't have time." The crowd gasped. Karen's face flushed crimson, her grip tightening on the mangled box. "That's a lie," she snapped, but her voice wavered. Mr. Jenkins continued, unfazed. "I tested mine at home. It worked fine until my grandson slammed it into a wall. These toys are fragile. You probably damaged it yourself." The confrontation escalated as Karen's fury boiled over. She hurled the torn box to the floor, shattering its plastic casing. "You're all in on this," she screamed, kicking over a display of stuffed animals. Toys toppled, their cheerful packaging crumpling under her boots. Shoppers backed away as Sarah signaled for security, but Karen wasn't done. She grabbed another toy from the shelf, a shiny Robodino, and began prying it open, claiming she'd tested herself to prove the store's fraud. Plastic shards flew, and a child nearby burst into tears. The scene was chaos, a whirlwind of Karen's rage tearing through the store like a storm. Sarah, now flanked by 2 security guards, stepped forward. "Ma'am, you need to stop. You're destroying property." Karen laughed bitterly, tossing the broken Robodino at Sarah's feet. "You sold me garbage. I'm just showing everyone what you're really selling." But the crowd wasn't on her side. Phones were out, videos streaming live to social media, capturing every moment of her meltdown. A teenage girl in the crowd, holding a similar toy, piped up, "Mine works fine. Maybe you just don't know how to handle them." The comment stung, and Karen whirled on her, but the guards moved in, gently but firmly escorting her toward the exit. Karen's downfall was swift and brutal. As she was let out, the store's owner, Mrs. Clara, arrived, having seen the viral videos flooding local X-posts. She surveyed the wreckage shelves, askew, toys broken, and customers shaken. "You're banned from this store," Clara said coldly, "and you'll be billed for every item you damaged." Karen's bravado crumbled. "You can't do this. I was protecting my son." But Clara held up the clearance sale receipt, signed by Karen, acknowledging the no-return policy. Worse, the store's security footage showed Karen dropping the original toy, just as Mr. Jenkins had said. The crowd murmured in disapproval as Karen's protests faded into stammers. The legal fallout was merciless. The store pressed charges for vandalism, and Karen was ordered to pay $1,200 for the damaged goods, every broken toy, every torn box. She tried to countersue, claiming the store misled her, but the signed receipt and video evidence sealed her fate. Online, the community tore her apart. Ex-posts branded her Toy Store Karen, with memes mocking her for "my son" excuse. Timmy, meanwhile, was heartbroken not just over the toy, but because his mother's outburst became the talk of the town. At school, kids whispered, and he withdrew, embarrassed by the spectacle. In the end, Karen sat alone in her living room, surrounded by the faulty toys she'd been forced to keep as part of the settlement. Each one was a reminder of her hubris, her refusal to listen, and the chaos she'd unleashed. But there was a silver lining, faint but real. Sarah, the manager, started a community drive to replace the damaged toys for other kids, turning the store's loss into a beacon of goodwill. Shoppers donated, and the store buzzed again with holiday cheer, stronger than before. Sometimes the loudest voices drown themselves out, while quiet acts of kindness rebuild what's broken. Karen thought she was fighting for her son, but she lost sight of what truly mattered: his happiness, not her pride. What do you think? Was Karen a victim of a bad deal, or did she bring this on herself? Share your thoughts below.